there's an argument to be made that they could add value to the Big 12 Conference as a football program. What's up, everybody? It's Trey Smith with College Game Time, back with another College Game Time YouTube video. So listen, I'm going to play you a clip of Dennis Dodd and what he said in regards to the Big 12's push to add UConn to the conference, which several weeks ago, if you've been following the channel, I talked about how that discussion was heating up. Now you have Dennis Dodd confirming that. But he also said a couple of other things, and he's not the only one saying it in regards to UConn's football program. And I want to discuss that as well. So before I play you this clip, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, comment at the end, share it with a friend. And if you're feeling generous, go ahead and leave a super thanks. And if not, no worries. But let's listen to the audio first, and then let's discuss.
There will be a significant push to get UConn in. I don't know which way that's going to go. They're terrible in football. There's travel issues. He's going to have to get past all that with his president. But the fact that it's being talked about at this level now suggests there is some support with it. We already know about the New York stuff in basketball.
Okay, so you heard him say there at the end, we already know about the New York stuff with basketball. That's referring to the Rucker Park initiative. There's a video on this channel talking about that and as far as the coaches that are going and establishing that footprint. But let's discuss the statement. I don't know which way that will go. They're terrible in football and have travel issues. And I made a video yesterday with some potential pods, a potential pod structure for the Big 12 should they expand to 16 teams. UConn was a part of that. If you haven't seen that video, I would encourage you to go watch it. But in the comments, even on that video, I was seeing some responses. UConn football's trash. UConn basketball only. You know, let's add UConn basketball only. Big 12 fans saying that. And I feel like to just write UConn football off as this sorry trash program is a bit lazy. Listen, I'm not saying their recent history has been good. In fact, if you talk to any UConn fan, they'll tell you that they have had 3 straight misses on their head coaching hires until their current coach, Jim Mora, who, oh, by the way, in his first year, got them to a bowl game. But to me, the reason why I say I think it's a lazy and convenient take to just write them off, and this isn't just specific at Dennis Dodd. I'm not saying it's unfair. I mean, their recent history does show that they're terrible in football. But I want to take you back to when they were in the Big East. Now, I don't want to act like either that the Big East was just murderer's row during the 9 seasons UConn was in the conference. But keep in mind, the era UConn was in the Big East, you had West Virginia, who was competing for a BCS national championship. In fact, they were 1 game away from playing in one, but they got upset by Pitt. They also beat Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, I believe, one of those seasons. That was the Pat White, Steve Slayton. I mean, that was when West Virginia football was just on fire. Then you had South Florida in the conference, who during that era was the number 2 rated team in the country for a week or two at some point. I think it was the 2007 season. And then you had Louisville in the Bobby Petrino era, who ended up winning an Orange Bowl. So, yeah, I'm not going to sit here and act like that, oh my gosh, the Big East football was the equivalent to a Power 5 back in those days. But I'm also not going to act like it was just some mid-tier G5 conference, okay? It was a quality football conference in that era. UConn, in 9 seasons, had 5 8+ win years, 2 conference championships, and they were co-champions because they didn't play a Big East championship game. And then they had a trip to the Fiesta Bowl, and I'm pretty sure the season before they entered the Big East, they went 9-3. So when 5 out of 9 seasons having 8+ wins, being a conference champion 2 of those seasons, and making it to a BCS Bowl, which would be the equivalent to a New Year's Six Bowl now, that's not a terrible garbage program. I get it. Their recent history has been bad. But like I said, they've had some very poor coaching hires back to back to back. Now they've got a guy in there who's already had him bowl eligible year one. He just inked or got a commitment from a 4-star quarterback out of Texas here in the last month. He's doing it right, and I'm telling you, there's a lot of support around that program and the geographical location where they are. If you watched my UConn video a couple weeks ago, I showed you the PDF that they sent the Big 12 back in 2016 that just talks about the machine that their media market is and the alumni base that's in that area and the insane amount of support that's there. I'm someone that believes that UConn joining a conference like the Big 12, their football program would see a similar benefit and brand sort of elevation that Utah has seen since joining the Pac-12. Not saying UConn's history right now is as good as what Utah's was prior to joining the Pac-12, because you got to think, Utah, I mean, they weren't anything to write home about until they brought in Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer had 2 incredible seasons, leaves for Florida, hands it over to Coach Witt. Coach Witt then goes on to turn them into what they are today. But that move to the Pac-12 really helped the national brand recognition of that team, where they went from this Mountain West G5 program to where now they've got home and home series with programs like Florida and the SEC. Again, I'm not sitting here saying, oh, UConn football is going to transform into Bama when they join a Power 5 conference. What I'm saying is I think we need to look at the whole body of work before we just write their football program off as just this garbage, just horrible addition to the Big 12. I believe their football program in time will add value to the football product presented by the Big 12. And then to speak to Dodd's travel issues, well, if you go look at the video I did yesterday, I created an East pod that had UConn, Central Florida, West Virginia, and Cincy. Right there, like that. I mean, what is it, a 3-hour flight from Connecticut to Hartford to Orlando? So there's ways to really make this coast-to-coast conference work, and there's ways, I think, with scheduling you can get creative to help the UConn program. I know there's other sports to consider. So don't get me wrong. But I think that's something Yormark's going to be able to figure out with the presidents, as Dodd alluded to. But let me know what your thoughts are. If you disagree with me, that's fine. Disagree with me, but tell me why. Okay? Because I feel like if you look at the total body of work from this UConn football program, going back to when they first entered the Big East, there's an argument to be made that they could add value to the Big 12 conference as a football program, not just an elite basketball program. They will be an elite basketball program, and I think they could turn into a good football program. That's it for me today. Thank you for watching Trey Smith College Game Time.